Hi all, thank you very much. You're probably waiting now for lunch, so we'll try to be brief. I'm Ricardo Bittini, I'm Head of Innovation in Ferrovial Agro, and we are very pleased to be here today to show some of our case studies. Thank you to Building Smart for organizing all that. Sergio, thank you very much for everything. I'm sure that you're waiting for 6 p.m. today to get relaxed. So, well, so we can show you some cases, and there are going to be some slides repeated from yesterday in the construction room. So the ones that went yesterday, so that have some passions. I know, Christina, you're there, so you have high expectations. Okay, just to put in context a little bit of Ferrovial. We are an infrastructure company that we started to operate in the 50s in the railways. Then we moved in the 60s into roads, concessions. We got international in the 70s. In the 80s, high speed in Spain, Olympics very close to here in Barcelona. In the 90s, Agroman was bought, so that's the reason of the name of the company of the construction site is Ferrovial Agroman. Sintra, as the toll operator, was also created in the early 2000s. Budimex in Poland was bought, Amy Heathrow in the UK. So very recently, we have become a very global organization. And very recently, Prospectrum in Australia was bought. So at the moment, we have 80% of our business is international. So 20% remains in Spain and 80% outside. With the evolving of the company, so we have created a new structure where we've got 4 different business units. So we've got Ferrovial Agroman, that is the construction division, Sintra operating toll roads, Ferrovial Airport, so we are major shareholders of Heathrow Airport, Glasgow, Aberdeen, and now we are also in Denver. Ferrovial Services, all about facilities management, waste treatment, etc., etc. Even if some of you take the train in Spain today, the catering in the train is also served by Ferrovial Services. So don't complain about the coffee served there. So we, as you can see, the life cycle of the infrastructure. So we have a high presence in every stage. Hence, the importance of being for a company is on the top of the agenda. So it's very key for us as asset maintenance, how we implement BIM in our corporation. Sorry. So we have a global presence over 20 countries, and key markets are UK, US, Australia, Poland, and Spain. I mean, I don't want to be too corporate here. I just want to highlight that for our vision, the means of the vision for the company, innovation is there. So, and as one of the top values, innovation is there as well. So the company really believes in that. Getting closer to the construction division, as a strategic objective is about building smart infrastructures and the digitalization. And for us, digitalization has the face of BIM. And we have created our internal BIM task force that we have called Ferrovial Infrastructure Lifecycle Management. And this logo, what we're trying to show there is not the typical easy cycle of a life cycle that it looks, everything is so simple and very smooth. I think it's the real life is a lot more complex. So we do design, but we are building at the same time, we operate, so we are in a brownfield. So that's something that we need to take in consideration. I mean, after all these days here in all the sessions, you can see the complexity that is behind IFC, and that is really, we need to consider all these phases. So yesterday we had a very good discussions about LLX and different stages. So it's quite complex. So if all these intelligent people are here are able to give a solution to that, that would be great. So in terms of film, we put on the top our people. It's very clear, and we're going to be talking about our people to death. And our people is about training, educating, engaging. So we start from an awareness for everyone in the company. And that is increasing to what we call practitioner super users. At the end of the day, we are practitioners. So if we go to a project, anyone will be trying to measure something, viewing a model, taking some cost figures, everything. So we are practitioners, so we need to engage everyone. If we don't do that, we're going to fail, that's for sure. So what we are going to present today is a little, we're not going to get into too much detail. I know you are tired, and we are going to show you new things about the 3D coordination, 4D modeling, etc. So from the international experience, what we have is a lot of best practices and a lot of learning. Cristobal mentioned before that in the innovation is through the knowledge creation, so that's what we really believe. And the good thing is that today Adolfo is going to present the second part more about cases in Spain, and I think it's going to be, it represents exactly what we are doing. I mean, he joined Ferrovial, I think almost today, 1 year ago, so we're going to celebrate your anniversary. And the thing is how all the knowledge that we got internationally, so we have brought it into Spain in a year. So we have had a lot of success things, but adapting it to the right projects and to our people. So you can do exactly the same thing that you do outside. So we say that our people are on the top. So health and safety are on the top. So we are using models, and we don't need to get to the very detail of the models, but we're using the models to do the inductions for our people on site. So very simple, so that these are just snapshots of the animations, but that's something that we're doing. And going further, this is a video. Ramon, I'm going to try to compete with you about the animations. These are not marketing animations. These are just animations that we use in our projects. And this is the extension in London Underground, and this is for environmental awareness. So this is what, instead of having a lot of documents so we share that to our people, and so making use of the models. A lot of effort has been done already producing models from the design. So we take those models and we add environmental information, how people need to see or need to understand, and the things that they need to consider during construction. Okay, so I'm going to put the whole video. So just to give you an idea of what we do. This one, another video here. This is also a tool of used in our projects, and it's to engage our people. So this is to explain to our people what we are doing, and we are trying to use new technology. Sometimes technology is not as expected, and sometimes it does. So there is always a combination. I would say it's a push-pull of things that people from or site teams tell us, we need to resolve that, or things that we propose and we show to them and say, okay, is that helpful for you? And then I think we always get to nice solutions. Okay, so I mean, you've seen in many places all the smart glasses, all these type of things. So that's something that I think is good to attract the attention of our project managers, construction managers, the engineers, etc. Another way, moving from very, I would say, boring figures, and in the monthly reports, there is more and more demand from our clients about project controls. So we are moving into a more, I would say, we visualize the solutions of how we are doing program, how we are doing in budget. So what did I say at the beginning? People. So these are the ones that are pushing us to get to the right solutions. Is the way to do it effectively. And So we have talked about technology, people, and always we need to put a slide of a process. Yes. So behind all that, we need to follow some process, and a process that we review with our people. And from all that, we have created a lot of learning, lessons learned, best practices that we pass to projects and projects. And now we're going to move to Spain. So Adolfo is going to explain that part. And you can see now in a very short period of time how we are also developing that in our home country. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ricardo. May I present? I'm the BIM implementation leader for Area 1. We are divided in Ferrovial in 3 main areas, and Area 1 is Spain, Portugal, and South America. So what I'm going to present today is just the Spanish experience that I'm trying to implement in Spain. Okay, so we have been 3 days in the Building Smart Summit, and I want to stop for a moment because we have been seeing many international standards, big software companies, huge projects and huge teams. But today is the Industry Day, and I want to stop because in Spain we have our companies, our projects, and I think we have a very special thing in Spain that I think Spain is different. We have the projects are very different, the scopes and the duration are very different. So I want to raise a question that we raised a few months ago in another meeting. What defines a big infrastructure? I think big infrastructures are part of every country, so it's not a big issue in Spain that we build big infrastructures as well. But is it about the cost? Is it about the working team? Is it about the duration of the project? Or is it about the technical issues of the project? I want to thank you, Elena, for introducing this concept before, because this is a debate that I want to raise because it's about buildings only, it's about infrastructures. So today we are going to present all the infrastructures or the big infrastructures that we are using BIM in Spain. Okay, we don't have to move very far from here. If I show you this image, you might not know what is it about, but I can tell you that this infrastructure is a fast train that is being built in Barcelona that will connect the Prat airport to the center of Barcelona, and we are using BIM here to do better construction and to do better projects in Ferrovial. So this is a big tunnel that is like 200.5 kilometers, being built by a tunneling machine. And we have to say that in any of these projects we have BIM requirements. It's just a Ferrovial Roman initiative, but we think that as Ricardo has mentioned, the big keys here are the people of our companies, and we want them to learn as fast as possible to get the benefits of this methodology. Okay, we do not do BIM for just doing BIM. We think that as far as we get BIM requirements in Spain, we want to use the BIM for better practices, to do better construction, and to understand how the things are getting built in the construction site. So we focus on the main things that we think that are special and are important in a project. This image, you can see that this tunneling machine shaft, or as Ricardo told me, is the launch shaft in English. So it's the place where the tunneling machine is gonna start to dig. As well, in this huge project, we have two emergency shafts that are very. It's very complicated to build this because the tunneling is going to pass some time when the emergency exit is already dig. So we have to be very precise in the construction. Another thing about these civil works is that we have to control a lot of the excavations, the number of meters that we are digging, instead of putting horizontal supports to control it. We are doing the same things that we think in UK experience has been important, as production control of all the elements constructed in the site, or as-built documentation getting from the elements of the model. As well, as I told you, the project is being built with a tunneling machine. Tunneling machine is a thing like that. We didn't want to be very precise, but many people know about the big head of the tunneling, but the backup of the tunneling machine is the big issue about this machine. This tunneling has around 150 meters, so there are lots of parts and pieces coming every day before assembling it on site. So we have a logistics problem when assembling it. This all the backup is being stored in the background of the offices, but when we want to put in that is going to start in 2 or 3 months, we want to put all the backup in the facilities enclosure, that is this hall. We have to be very precise in the order of the pieces because everything has to assemble perfectly before putting the head on the tunnel. Okay, another part of another structure of this big project. I mentioned that is one of the biggest projects that is being built in Spain by Ferrovial. So we have a station being built in the center of the Terminal 1 parking. So we have a very difficult place, a very difficult environment, a hard client because AENA is not allowing do everything for us. So we have to be very precise. We have to do the things right on time, and we think that that beam is being used for that purpose. The station is perpendicular to another line that is already existing and is being used. So this green part is the existing one. So we have to be very precise in what we are building first, what we are digging, when we have to stop the line before doing the rest of the station. Another big infrastructure that is being built by Ferrovial is our specialist, or we love these projects in Ferrovial. You can see in the name of the company, Ferrovial comes from rail, so we love these rail projects. This is high-speed project being built in Galicia, is Túnel de Padornelo. And this has, apart from 8 kilometers tunnel, we have 2 big structures being built there. So we wanted to focus on one of the bridges, that is Viaducto de Leira, and we want to focus as well in the key features of the construction of a bridge, because we don't want to do everything about the beam, but we focus on the requirements of our people. So
He likes too much the
there are more slides. Sorry about this. No, más. Faltan títulos. Okay, if you don't mind, I will show you this way because I don't know why in the white screen is going wrong. And other things are missing in this slide, but okay. We wanted to focus in. We talk about a lot about glass detection in buildings, but what about infrastructures? Do you think it's a good practice to do glass detection in infrastructures, especially in bridges? Well, we think that is a big issue in bridge construction. The pre-stressed tubes, for example, clash a lot with rebars during the construction. So we thought that doing an analysis of pre-stressed tubes against rebars in the construction site was a good practice. So before we start to construct this bridge, we will know in which part of the bridge we will have issues about these pre-stressed tubes that are very complicated. Also about the rebar modeling, some people say that it's not useful for in the edification. But what about in the bridges? I think we have learned a lot and we have used a lot this pile that is what we have detailed more, because we have extracted all the exact dimensions of all the rebars, all the quantification of the rebars, and when we get into the detail about the construction, we want to know exactly how much it's gonna cost us, and this that some people might know what is it. These shop drawings about rebars. They can extract directly from the model, so it's a big headache that you can take off your head. About the construction process, I think in our offices everybody knows how to build a bridge, but when you have to explain to new people, to other subcontractors or other people, a pile is not just a column. It has very different stages of building it. So we have to be very precise in what steels are waiting for the next tonelada, the next concrete slide. Again, in this project, as a construction company, we have to be very precise with the cost control and with the documentation we are getting into the BIM model. We are using these graphic softwares because we think the documentation is very accessible for every part of the project. So from a BIM or 2D or 3D slide, you can get all the information about quality, about production, about the technical offices. So we think it's a good practice in the. Again, you mentioned about the procedures. Even BIM is not required in these projects. We think it's a good practice to get all the BIM execution plan, employee information requirement, getting to the people know about it, because we will get furthermore. Okay, and last project about infrastructure. I don't want to bore you. This is a very early stage project being built as well here in Barcelona. It's a parallel project from the Accesos al Prat project, that is port accesses to road accesses to Barcelona port. That we are using BIM for alternatives studying, so it's not being built yet, but we think it's a good practice to know exactly what impact is gonna produce any change of the alignment, any change of the design. Okay, so sorry. So to finish, these are just a few projects about 20 projects that we are implementing BIM now in Spain. So I think we are moving forward this year, and we have a lot of initiatives coming from the projects and coming from our people. And I want to mention something that about the building smart standard, the IFC, that as Ricardo mentioned is very important for us for all the life cycle of the infrastructures we have in Ferrovial. That for a construction site, the IFC is information for construction. So it's not a standard, but it's what information we need for the site to get better construction on site. Okay, thank you very much.